Great news, parents! Are you currently homeschooling? Today's video meets Common Core standards for English language arts, speaking and listening, and for reading literature, key ideas and details. Here's how to use today's video as a part of your child's English lesson. Step 1. Watch the Storytime video with your child. Step 2. At the end, I will ask some questions. Depending on your child's grade level, your child can answer them orally or in writing. If in writing, you will see a link to PDF worksheets in the description box below the video. Step 3. Follow agreed upon rules of discussion. If your child answers the questions orally, pause the video after each question. Listen to each other with care and speak one at a time about the text under discussion. Step 4, last but not least. For further exploration of the text's key ideas and details, download the related PDFs at the link in the description box below the video. And check out this book at your local library and practice reading aloud at home. Enjoy the show! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Authorized. I am your hostess, Christina Smith, and today's story is called The Roof of Leaves. And this is an African tale from Congo. Okay, the Congo, actually. And if you look at my map back here behind me, it is in Central West Africa. Okay? And actually, this is another African tale from the book Pride of African Tales, written by Donna L. Washington and illustrated by James Ransome. Are you enjoying these tales as much as I am? This is actually the third African tale from this book, so I think you're gonna enjoy this one too. All right, The Roof of Leaves. Once, a man and a woman who had loved each other for a long time came together as man and wife. The people of the village, to celebrate the marriage, built them a beautiful house. It had a roof of bright green leaves. The two of them were very happy. But one morning, they were in a bad mood. They started arguing. Then they started yelling. The two of them became so angry, they forgot many things. They forgot that they had spent a great deal of time together, laughing and talking in the shadows of the great trees. They forgot that they were in love. They forgot that they were happy. The husband got so angry that he ran out of their house. Once outside, the husband, in his fury, laid his hands on the first thing he saw and began to rip it apart. This thing was the roof of his house. He was so angry that he did not even realize what he was doing. He had forgotten that when either the husband or the wife pulls all the leaves off the roof of their house, it means, I divorce you. We will no longer live beneath the same roof. The wife came outside. As she watched her husband pull leaves off their house, she saw how full of anger he was. It made her remember that he could also be full of joy. He loved to laugh, and he could sing better than anyone else in the village. He was also one of the best storytellers. The wife was going to say something when she noticed people coming out of their houses. If I say something, she thought, they'll think I'm to blame for this argument. I won't say anything unless my husband speaks first. The husband began to pull the leaves slower and slower. He realized what he was doing. He didn't want to divorce his wife. Now that his anger was leaving him, he couldn't even remember why they had argued. Just as he was about to stop pulling the leaves, he saw his wife and all the villagers watching him. If I stop pulling the leaves, everyone will think this argument was my fault. Well, I won't stop until my wife says something. The people of the village looked from the husband to the wife. It seemed there was no hope for the situation. They were astonished. They knew the two of them had loved each other. All the neighbors wanted to say something, but it was not a good idea to come between a man and his wife. Everyone was silent. The wife watched the husband. The husband pulled leaves off the roof, and the neighbors looked around sadly. "A husband," the wife said so suddenly that everyone jumped. "These are only the leaves that are dirty. Okay, you can leave the rest of them up there." The husband looked at his wife with confusion. "I said," she repeated slowly, "these are the only leaves that are dirty. Come, let us take them down to the river." Without waiting to see if he was doing what she said, she began to gather up the fallen leaves. The husband stood there for a moment, confused, and then he began to smile and collect the leaves with his wife. They took them down to the river and washed them in the water. They then laid them out to dry in the sun and went swimming. Afterward, they collected the leaves and replaced them on the roof together. On that day, every wife went to her husband and mentioned something about the dirty leaves on top of their own homes. Together, husbands and wives removed leaves from the roofs of their houses, washed them in the river, and dried them in the sun. That had never happened before in the village. As far as we know, it never happened again. The best that can be hoped for is that we remember that we can always wash the leaves. The end. So now I have some questions. And so, what do you think about what happens when you get angry? So let me give you an example. In the story, the husband he just ran out of the house and just wanted to rip apart the first thing he saw. So he wasn't even thinking. He was so angry. So have you ever done something like that where you were so angry, you weren't thinking, you just reacted and did the first thing that you came to mind because you were angry? And do you see what happened in the story when the husband calmed down? Remember what happened? Now, what is that word? What is that you call that? So remember, he calmed down and he forgot even the reason why he was angry, but he didn't want to admit that he was wrong because he thought to himself, if I say something now, then everybody will think that this argument is my fault. What do you call that? What is that called? That feeling or that action? It starts with the letter P. It's called pride. Pride. Having too much pride, but in a way that is, it doesn't serve your highest good. Okay, so what do you think about his pride in that moment? Do you think making the decision not to say something, do you think that was a good one? What do you think would have happened if the wife did not speak when she did? What do you think would have happened to their marriage? Do you think it could have survived that argument, that incident? What do you think about the importance of communication and between two people in a relationship? Do you think communication is really important, honest communication? What do you think about the wife's actions? Do you think that was a clever way to resolve the argument? And you know what I think? I actually think that's some pretty good questions. I think we've got something to kind of think about and talk about after this story. I hope that you enjoyed this story as much as I did. I know I enjoyed it because I'm a married woman. So this story meant a lot to me and spoke to me because it is important to communicate with your husband and just anybody that's important to you. If the relationship is meaningful, you want to make sure you communicate in an honest way. All right, well, enough about me. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did, and we will see you next time on Authorize.